kind of feel like I need to begin today's podcast with a sigh, just a big ah. And I'll tell you why, because kids and listening. Kids and so many times, it's got to be one of the most commonly asked questions that I get. And yet just recently we had a situation at home where the kids weren't listening to me. And I thought, what's the advice that I give to everybody else? Because I need it right now and I couldn't remember. And so I got a little bit mad. I was like, oh, come on, you've got to do better than this. Why won't the kids listen? Today on the Happy Families podcast, 5 reasons your children are not listening to you and 5 things you can do to make them want to listen to you.
I know when our kids were younger, we actually wondered whether or not we had some hearing challenges.
We literally had one of the kids' ears tested, paid a lot of money for it. Government usually covers that depending on which state you're in Australia. Now, I think it's a federally covered thing, but if you're unsure, I mean, let's acknowledge there is a serious side to this. If you have a child with low hearing or no hearing, then, this podcast episode is probably not for you. No, actually, I think that it will be. But we're mainly going to be talking about kids who have perfectly good hearing and they just are not responding. They're non-compliant. If you want to find out if your kid's hearing is good, you can get the free test, or you can stand at the door of the bedroom that they're in and say, who wants ice cream? You'll get a response. You'll know.
No. You can't just say, who wants ice cream?
Uh-huh.
You have to whisper it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Even while they're on a screen, they're still going to look up and go, I'm in. That's when you know.
Or you don't even have to say anything. Just open a packet of biscuits.
Yeah, they hear the crinkly.
Yeah.
That
they're there.
You got it. Okay, 5 reasons. 5 reasons your children are not listening to you.
Can I tell you number 1?
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 words.
Yeah.
Care factor. They don't care what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like you're a 5-year-old and you're playing with your Lego. The last thing you want to do is look up and listen to mum because she wants you to go brush your teeth because it's time for bed.
And that's the critical thing. They're not listening because we're asking them to do stuff. There's all of this correction and direction. It's never fun to listen to mum or dad because they're telling me to do something that I don't want to do. And just on that care factor, I mean, this is a question of motivation, I guess, but they don't have the same capacity, the same interest in noticing things that we notice. So we walk into the living room and we see 2 things on the couch and 3 things on the floor. And we say, 5 things that need to be put away. And then this room will look beautiful. Kids walk into that living room and they say, Lego.
Or they look pretty lonely. They need more stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, my goodness. So care factor is a huge one. A couple of other things. I want to make this point. They are listening. They just don't like what you're saying. I've said this to so many parents, and every time I do, parents' eyes go, yeah, because what are you saying? How much reason are you giving them to want to listen? Usually not much. Unpack the dishwasher, put your bag away, pick up your towel, come to the table, set the table. Why haven't you fed the dogs yet? Like that's our conversation.
We've had this conversation every morning for the last few weeks about whose turn it is to feed the dog.
I know.
And yesterday morning I devised a plan.
Oh, did you?
I did. I'd asked 2 different children over a duration of about 10 minutes to feed the dogs. There was no water in their bowls. They're scratching at the door. They want their food.
Please don't call the RSPCA, folks. We do look after our dogs. It's just that sometimes they have to wait for their dinner.
And after I'd finally asked the second child, who just walked past me and ignored me, I went, right, okay, Annie, you've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Lily, you've got Tuesday, Thursday, 2 teas. We can't forget that. And Emily, you've got the weekend. I need a plan that works for me because I need to know. It has to be easy for me to remember, right? Because if I get to Wednesday and I'm like, whose turn is it? No one's going to admit it's their turn. Whereas now I've got a definite plan and they all looked at me and they went, okay. And the dogs got fed.
So we have gone sideways a bit here, but let's just emphasize, if you want your children to be competent, there has to be structure. And what you've done in 15 seconds or less is devised a structure that everyone's willing to comply with. And now we can satisfactorily keep the dogs fed. See, no reason to call the RSPCA. We've got this covered. But I think there's a couple of things that we need to highlight here. You've mentioned number 1. In fact, number 1 for you, that they don't care. That's part of a broader issue for me, and that is that they don't have the same capacity to care because they're so egocentric. Children between the ages of, 2 and 62 tend to really care about themselves and not other people. No, well, that's probably unfair. 2 and 12.
62 sounds about
60,
right.
yeah, okay. And so what's important to you in your world is just not important to them in their world. When you say, we need to get into the car, I have a meeting. And if I'm late for the meeting, that's going to be bad. The kids are like, no, it's not. It doesn't affect me at all. I'm fine.
Or tidy your room.
It doesn't affect them. So there's the capacity to care that is tied to motivation and this idea of egocentrism. It's about me, my needs, my focus, my attention. And
not because they're selfish,
No.
but literally because developmentally, this is where they're at.
yeah, perspective. What you care about, your issues, are not my issues. And that sounds really selfish, but when you don't have the developmental capacity to care about somebody else's issues in a meaningful way, that's what you get. That's why children are the way that they are. Once they become teenagers, another thing that happens is that other voices simply become more interesting. Parents' voices, been listening to your voice for more than a decade now. I know it. I've heard it. I'm used to it.
Just a drawl. Like you just drag on.
Yeah. And I think we also have to acknowledge neurodiversity, low hearing children, the impact of screens. Sometimes the kids are so focused on their screen, or they've got their headphones in or on or whatever, really hard to grab their attention. So number one, kids don't have the same capacity to care. And we've talked about all of that. Number two, Kylie, kids don't have the same attentional capacity. In other words, when you and I are talking, when two adults are involved in a conversation, we're able to engage in a way that kids aren't able to engage in. They just don't have the same stamina, the same focus, the same ability to zero in and say, okay, I'm listening, I've got you.
What's number three?
We will still love them. We will still love them. Like a teacher or a coach or a friend or a neighbor or whoever it might be, if kids don't follow the structure and the expectation, then they might feel like they've lost the relationship. Other relationships are short term. There's no guarantee that this is going to keep going, but kids know. I don't have to listen to my parents, and they're obligated to continue to love me. Like they've got me. It's cool. I can get away with this.
But I also don't feel like they have the confidence that they can push back on the teacher either. You know, when you think about other adults, they've learnt quickly societal norms, suggest and societal rules that we need to be compliant in certain scenarios and situations.
Yeah, all the kids in the classroom are doing that as well.
That's right. So there's this positive peer pressure that comes in those settings when there's large numbers of kids all together.
Number four is that silence and refusal mean different things to us than what they mean to the kids. So if your child refuses to put shoes on or refuses to get their school bag ready, you as a parent, because you're flustered and stressed and you need to get out the door, and so do they, you might see that as obstinance or refusal or some other frustrating thing. And guess what? For them, it might be that something else matters more. Or it might be that they're scared of going to school today because they know that presentation's due and they're not ready for it. Or they know that the teacher is not going to be there and they're going to have a sub because they got warning ahead of time. They don't do well with sub teachers, those kinds of things.
I know with my teenagers, when we are sometimes having heated conversations about why they haven't responded to me positively in that moment, the acknowledgement is that I haven't recognized and seen that they were in the middle of something. And so they're like, I was just finishing what I was doing, and then I was going to, get on to X, Y, or Z. And so, again, perspective from our end is just as important as perspective from their end. Which
kind of leads nicely into the fifth and final one, and that is that quite often we talk to our children and expect them to listen, but we do not have their attention. So we're expecting that when we open our mouths, everybody is going to focus on us. We feel like we're the center of the universe instead of them.
When you think about how many conversations you have with your kids and you call out from the other room, right?
Totally.
You're not even in the same space. You're not making eye contact and you're expecting immediate compliance.
After the break, 5 things to do to help your kids to want to listen to you.
So we've talked about 5 reasons why the kids won't listen to us, but everyone wants a good solution. You said before the break that you've got 5 reasons to help our kids listen to us. I'd love to hear them.
And they're all really easy. We can get through them super fast. Number 1, make sure you have their attention before you talk to them.
This is really important for young kids especially.
How obvious is this, and how often do we not do it?
Yeah.
just when you've got eye contact, when there's some touch, when there's some genuine engagement, when you've walked to them and said, hey, kiddo, and then you see them look at you and say, yeah, mum, or yeah, dad, that's when you start talking.
Touch, you said touch, and it just, visually, the amount of times where I've tried to call from the other room, haven't got any response, and then I've walked in on our 10-year-old who's got her nose in a book, and I've literally just touched her on the shoulder or touched her on the hand, and instant, she's looked up at me.
Yeah.
It's instant.
Just number one, have their attention before you start talking.
What's number two?
Number two is be involved. Be involved. So quite often we say, go do this, go do that. There's a lot of correction, a lot of direction, and not a lot of connection.
I was thinking about this in relation to the classroom. Teachers obviously will often have to do things and not be literally with your child or with the class as a whole. They might race over to their desk while they ask the kids to do something, but more times than not, in a classroom situation, the teacher will say to the kids, all right, I want, 2 straight lines here, find a partner and stand in line. But they're standing in that line at the front of the line and they're making eye contact with those kids as they're kind of, moving around the room. They're right there with them.
Yeah.
But at home, I know in my case, I'm like, okay, well, you do this and I'll do the 15 other things I've got to do before we get out the door. And so as soon as I walk out the door, they've forgotten what I've said because they're engrossed in whatever they're doing.
That's why I love All In, that nighttime routine that we usually have, although lately it's been a bit shoddy, where the whole family comes into the kitchen and we clean up the meal together. It's involved time. We can talk. Everybody's listening, paying attention. No one complains during that period that no one's listening to me. Because you're involved and you're doing it together. I know it feels like it's going to take longer. The great paradox is that it usually does not take as long because everybody's doing it together.
Or it does take longer, but it's because you're actually enjoying yourself and having fun. You don't want it to end.
That's right. And relationships are not built on efficiency. That's not the purpose of relationships. Number 3, just be patient. Like wait. Call out to your child, maybe even invite them to do something, and then wait. Because when I ask parents how long they usually wait between request number 1 and then the follow-up, I just asked you to do something, the answer by most parents is...
Like instantly.
Like 4 seconds. Hey, put your shoes on. You haven't moved yet. I said put your shoes on. It's like, give them a minute. Just wait. Just be a little bit patient. I think that it will help.
Number 4.
This one is my favorite one. Because a lot of parents say, all this soft parenting where you get down at their level and you look them in the eyes and hold their sweet little hands and whisper sweet nothings to them as you try to gently coax them into doing what you want. No. Accountability. So I don't know how often you've seen me do this, but I'll ask the kids to do something and then I will stand in front of them and just wait until they move their butt and get on with it. And sometimes I'll stand there for 20 seconds and they'll look up and they're like, what? And I'll say, I asked you to do something. What was it? And they'll say, oh, and they've got all the voices and all the eye rolls, but I just stand there until they get on with it. And I'll offer, would you like me to be involved with you while you do it? We can do it together if you like. And they're like, oh, I need you to do this. It's time. And sometimes it has to be done instantly. Other times I'll be like, just get this done before the end of the week, right? Like the lawns need to be mowed. I want it done by the weekend.
As a tangent to this, I think a wonderful principle that we've used in our home is gentle reminders. We use a lot of words as parents, and when we make a request and it's not done instantly, one of the things that we have often used in our home is just gone up to the kids and gone, hey kiddo, the lawns. We don't have to give them the long lecture. It's a gentle reminder. They know. They
still go, oh.
But we're not nagging.
Right. And number 5, the last one, and I think this one's probably the most important one of all, be the kind of person that they want to pay attention to.
You talk about the idea of soft parenting and, do I have to hold my kid's hand? But yeah, I want to hold my kid's hand. Like, they're my people and I want them to know that I'm their person. And the softer I can be with them, the better off my relationship is with them, and therefore I will be the person they want to listen to.
I'm listening to you use the word soft, and I agree with you, but I would change the word or maybe add another word, and that would be fun. Like just recently I was doing a seminar and somebody asked a question about how do I really connect with my children better? And I gave all these long, really good sciencey answers and I really nailed the answer. And then I paused just as I was finishing. I was like, you know what? All that's really important, but if you really want to connect with your kids, just make it fun. Be a fun person.
I just had a visual of a flash mob. Ask the kids to do something and break into song.
Yeah, just make it fun.
Flashing lights.
If they're not listening to you, it's because you're probably not fun. I know that's a bit of a
You're just a drag.
It's a bit of a slam, but as parents, we can pretty much all acknowledge that most of the time we are not fun. And if we could be more fun, our kids would be really happy to listen to us. One of my good mates spent a lot of time riding bikes with this friend of mine, Chris, and he is what I would call just a brilliantly fun dad. Chris, every Friday, he's got this tradition. He takes the kids down to the cafe and buys them breakfast, spends far too much money on breakfast, hates spending the money, but just knows that the value of having that Friday morning tradition with the kids, it's fun. He takes them go-karting. They're into that. He makes his own, he builds his own go-karts. I mean, this guy's just clearly not me. But he makes time together fun. And that's what you need to do. That's how you build a relationship, right? You have fun together.
As parents, we're pretty highly strung most of the time.
Oh, most of the time, yeah.
But I remember a story about your friend Dave. You were in the pool one day, kids had these water soakers. And
we weren't in the pool. We'd gone for a ride on a stinking hot day. It was like 42 degrees. And we were thinking about getting in the pool, but the water was so cold.
And the kids were in there, weren't they?
They were
playing.
It was like, it was so cold. And I dipped my toe in the water. And I'm like, no, not getting in there. And as I've turned around to say to Dave, I don't think I'm having a swim. I felt this icy pain in the small of my back because the kids have hit me with a super soaker. And I've turned around to get cranky at this child and say, what are you doing? But I remembered I'm a parenting expert and I've got Dave, the bachelor, 42 years old, no kids, standing beside me. And I'm like, oh, I've got to be really nice about this. And before I could figure out what to say,
they hit him
with the super soaker right in the chest. Right in the chest. And you know what he did? He went, and he grabbed his chest and then he fell into the pool in spite of the fact that it was so cold. And the kids swam over and they jumped on his shoulders and they started to clamber all over him. And I thought, yeah, the parenting expert's being miserable on the side of the pool while the guy with no kids is in there showing him how to do it.
We've got to have more fun.
The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon. We really hope that the ideas we've given you today will help you to get the kids to listen better and want to listen to you. Thanks so much for listening. We love sharing these things with you. If you'd like more about how to make your family happier, the best stuff is in our Happy Families membership. You can find it online at happyfamilies.com.au. Check it out.